I have visited approximately 150 cities around the world, and there are some cities that did underwhelm me and disappoint me. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 cities that disappointed me. Now, I am expecting some negative comments in the comment section because I'm sure some of you will not be happy with some of the choices. So do let me know if you do disagree with any of the choices on my upcoming list. Moral of the story, do not have high expectations for any travel destination, and then you won't be disappointed. Now, do let me know in the comments as well any cities that you have been to where you were disappointed. I would be interested to see some of the disappointing places you have been to. But without further ado, I'm going to get into my list. So the first city in my list is going to be Santiago, Chile. Now, I was not disappointed by Santiago because I had crazy high expectations. I knew that most people who went to Santiago did not particularly find the city that amazing, so I did kind of know what to expect. But I found it disappointing because the city, in my view, does have potential. Santiago does have a state-of-the-art airport. It's one of the best, most modern airports I've ever been to. The city has a good public transport. There is a good metro system. You can literally visit the tallest building in South America, the Sky Costanera. There is good hiking you can do in the city and outside of the city. You've got day trips. You can go to wineries. There are interesting things to do, but the problem is the city itself is really dirty. It's full of litter, a lot of empty buildings. Even in the historic centre, you'll find many soulless, empty streets where there's no atmosphere, no vibe. Compared with somewhere like Buenos Aires, you're going to be much more underwhelmed in a place like Santiago. It's really hard to describe unless you've been to both places, but if you have been to Buenos Aires, there is an energy and a positivity in the city that you don't get in Santiago. Everyone looks depressed and defeated in Santiago. If somehow the Chilean government can inject some positivity and some atmosphere into the city, and probably some investment too, then I do think the city's fortunes can turn. But at the minute, it is an underwhelming travel destination. Even with the historic old town architecture and with the modern skyscrapers, just put some soul into the city somehow. I don't know how, but the city needs soul. Now then, the second city in my list is going to be Florence, Italy. And to be honest, I do think the reason I was underwhelmed by Florence is because I came straight from Rome, and Rome, in my opinion, is just better than Florence. Of course, Florence is much smaller than Rome, and the historic centre of Florence just feels like a massive tourist trap. And I don't mean that the historic centre is massive because the historic centre is small. I mean that the historic centre is this big vortex of tourists and tourist trap places and scammers looking to take advantage of tourists too. But the city is undeniably very, very beautiful. You can get all of the highlights done in Florence in a couple of days. I definitely recommend going to the Uffizi Gallery. Now, I'm not a big art gallery person, but I was extremely impressed. It is an extremely grand place. Very fascinating art all over the gallery. And if you do want to skip the queue and you do want to book a tour, I have put a link below in the description or the comment section where you can book a small guided tour of the Uffizi Gallery and skip the line. And Florence is really good for its day trips. You can go to Lucca and Siena, 2 very beautiful cities in Tuscany. You can go to Pisa, of course, for the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and you can go up to Bologna as well, where the best food in Italy is. So certainly try to go to Florence if you can. I definitely recommend it. I'm just saying that I found the city underwhelming compared with Rome and compared with Venice too. I did prefer Rome and Venice. Rome because it's just a dynamic, world-class city, and Venice because of the uniqueness and novelty of the city. Florence is good, but not as good as those 2 places for me. And also the nightlife in Florence is really bad as well. Don't go to Florence for nightlife. There is like literally no good nightlife. But now then, moving on to city 3 in this list of disappointing cities for me, we're going to go with Brussels, Belgium. Now, when you think of Belgium, or at least when I think of Belgium, I think of beautiful architecture. I think of beer, chocolate, fries, waffles, all the positive connotations of the country. And before visiting Brussels, I did have this perception that Brussels would be the epitome of grand Belgian architecture and amazing food, and you certainly can find good architecture in Brussels and of course good food. The problem is the majority of Brussels is extremely ugly, extremely dirty. I mentioned earlier about Santiago, Chile having a soulless energy. Well, Brussels, Belgium has a negative energy. There's just a shady feel to the city. I did feel a bit of a sense of danger there, and in fact, to be fair, I was followed around by these hooded lads one night in the city centre of Brussels, speaking French to me for about 5 minutes. I think they were trying to mug me. Luckily, someone came in and intervened and prevented me from having any harm. So yeah, I did not enjoy Brussels. You do not need more than 24 hours in Brussels, in my opinion. You can see Le Grand Place, the Mannequin Pis, the European Parliament. You can see that all within a day, or you can do a day trip to other nearby Belgian cities. Ghent is better than Brussels. Antwerp is better than Brussels. I have not been to Bruges, but I am pretty damn certain that Bruges is better than Brussels. Stay in one of those cities instead of Brussels and do a day trip to Brussels. That would be my recommendation. Now, before we go on to the fourth city, hopefully you are enjoying this video. Do click the like button if you are. It really does help out the channel and the video. Do make sure you are subscribed to the channel as well so you don't miss out on my future videos. So do that right now. And now we're going to get into the fourth city in this list of disappointing cities for me personally. And the fourth city is going to be Valencia, Spain. Now, to justify why I found Valencia underwhelming, the reason is pretty much the same as the reason why I found Florence to be underwhelming in Italy. The problem is I had already visited cities like Barcelona, Madrid, Malaga, Sevilla, Granada before going to Valencia, so Valencia just felt like a downgrade from most of those cities in my view. If you do have a spare 3 or 4 days on your Spain itinerary, you can go to Valencia, you can go to the City of Arts and Sciences complex, you can go to the aquarium, you can go and see some dolphins. Valencia Cathedral is really nice. You've also got the Mercat Central where you can get some food and produce there. I recommend going there. Just outside of the city as well, there is a beach, but it is not the nicest beach in the world. It is a bit dirty and the views are certainly not scenic because Valencia is a port city. If you do compare Valencia with Barcelona, yes, Valencia is cheaper. Yes, Valencia is much less overcrowded with tourism compared with Barcelona. But the city of Valencia, for me, is just a downgrade on Barcelona. Less things to do than Barcelona, less of an atmosphere and a buzz compared with Barcelona. And as far as Spanish cities go, Valencia doesn't have the nicest architecture in my view, though you do have some gems here and there. Dare I say, I think I prefer Malaga over Valencia, but don't get me wrong, Valencia is a nice city. It certainly is not the worst city I've ever been to. And if you do go to Valencia, definitely try, of course, the paella. Certainly try that when you're in Valencia. Also, make sure you go to a place called Café de las Horas and drink a drink called Agua de Valencia. It's orange juice, gin, vodka. It's very strong, but very, very tasty. So definitely try that. Now then, let's move on to the fifth and final city in this list of disappointing cities from my personal view. And this city is going to be Hoi An in Vietnam. Now, when you do your research on Hoi An, you will see that it is a very beautiful city. It is called the City of Lanterns, and that's because of all the boats with the lanterns that pass through the river in Hoi An at night time. It is a very pretty sight, but the city is so overrun with tourism. It's a very small place. You do not need a lot of time there. I spent 4 days there. 4 days was definitely too many days. You can do Hoi An as a day trip from Da Nang. So you can stay in Da Nang, which is cheaper than Hoi An. Stay there and go to Hoi An as a day trip. That would be my recommendation because Hoi An is small. You can get all of the highlights done within 24 hours. And of course, for most of the year, the center of Vietnam, where Hoi An is located, is going to be hot, sweaty and humid. And with all of the over tourism, it can get pretty unbearable. So I was shocked at how overrun the place was. I would say that it's certainly worth going to Hoi An just to see the boats, the lanterns at night time. And there are some nice night markets there too in the evening, so definitely go and check that out. But I would not spend 2, 3, 4 days here. 1 day is enough, or maybe overnight. And by staying in Da Nang instead, you are by the beach too, and you do have more amenities. Plus, if you are going to be spending time in central Vietnam, you may want to go to the Ba Na Hills, which is this famous amusement park that you can see on the screen here. I have put a link to where you can book a tour of the Ba Na Hills below in the description and the comment section. And also another day trip that you may be interested in taking in central Vietnam is a day trip to the ancient city of Hue, as you can see on the screen here. Now, do let me know what you think about my list. Do you agree with my list, or do you disagree with the cities in my list? Were you actually impressed with any of the cities that I mentioned today in the video? Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you disagree. It will be interesting to hear your thoughts and opinions. So I do hope you have enjoyed the video overall. Do let me know if you have. Do click like, do subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you get notified for all of my latest videos. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video.